Good day, everyone. I am Floridel Espinoza, and I will be reporting about the other methods of scoring rubrics. We have the general versus task specific. There are two types of rubrics. First is the general rubric. General rubric is used for the assessment of broader tasks category. For example, if the purpose is to develop a student's oral communication skills, a general rubric is used to evaluate each of the oral presentation. The student will use the feedback to improve their next presentation. So, this is an example of a general rubric. As you can see, there is the performance descriptor. This describes the quality of the performance that is given by the students in every scale or scoring. Next is the scale scoring. This one identifies the different levels of mastery of the students. This example of a general rubric suggests if a student needs improvement or if they have met the standard based on their performance or product. And as you can see, there is no specific task. Now let's go to the advantages and disadvantages of general rubric. Its advantages is some rubric can be used across different tasks. And its disadvantages is its feedback may be too general. Now let's go to the task-specific rubric. Task-specific rubric is used to evaluate students' performances on a single assessment event. For example, evaluating students' knowledge on a different historical event. This one is an example of a task-specific rubric. We can see here the different specific tasks. This assesses the knowledge needed to draw, label, and modify a switch. If it can be done by a student, many of the instructor may agree that students have enough knowledge to understand how the switch works. Now let's go to the advantages and disadvantages of task-specific rubric. Its advantage is it is more reliable assessment. So the assessment of a task-specific rubric is more reliable based on the example I showed a while ago. And its disadvantage is it is too difficult to construct rubrics for all tasks. So it can be time-consuming to construct rubrics if there are many specific tasks that are needed to be assessed. For the summary, here is the comparison between the two rubrics. Task-specific rubric. Rubrics for one specific assignment. Used to spell out instructions and required elements of the task per student. Specific and relevant but can be time-consuming. For the general rubric, rubrics that can be applied to multiple assignments and possibly to multiple disciplines. For additional information, task-specific rubric is used when knowledge is being assessed, while in general rubric, it is used when reasoning, scale, and products are being assessed. Next is the process of developing scoring rubrics. Step 1. Identification of the qualities and attributes that the teacher wishes to observe in the student's output that would demonstrate their level of proficiency. So the students have different characteristics. Others may be creative and others are not. So this step will also help the teacher to teach them. In order to do this, teacher may use the holistic or analytical rubric which is discussed by the previous reporter. Step 2. Identification and definition of the criteria for the lowest level of performance. The teacher asks to determine the type of performance that would constitute the worst performance or a performance which would indicate lack of understanding of the concept being measured. So this step is for teacher to capture the criteria that would suit a middle level performance for the concept being measured, and approach suggested would result in at least the 3 levels of performance. Finally, we can test whether our scoring rubrics is reliable by asking 2 or more teachers to score the same set of projects or outputs and correlate their individual assessment. So, why should we test if scoring rubric is reliable? It's because students have different qualities and attributes. Same with the teachers. Teachers also have different scoring rubrics to give scores to the students, and they have their own standards. So why asking 2 or more teachers? Because if the scores are different, there might be an error. But if the teachers have similarities in giving the scores, it means that the scoring rubric that we use is reliable. So that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.